Peace,
Straight up.
peace.
Peace. Can you hear me good?
Hear you nice and clear.
All right. So how do we share this link?
Um, yeah, you all you gotta do, I gave you the YouTube channel. You just gotta share the channel.
All right. So let's see. We should be in now, right?
Yeah,
Let's
we
see.
live right now. Just to let you know, we live.
Oh, we live right now?
Yeah, so you could just go ahead and share that link
All right.
right
So
now.
let's see.
Plus, we live on Bigo Live as well. I got this app. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell you. I thought I told you about it, but it's this app called Bigo Live.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty dope.
Word up, man. This
A
well
dope
that's
app.
let me see and make sure I get this good and shared to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm ready to rock whenever you are, my brother.
Okay, let me look for something. I'm gonna be a little long-winded far as the Lodd Manafess show tonight. I just learned of some things that I could do. Present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, share screen. All right, share screen. Yes, let me see. What I'm looking for. Then we're gonna get. Let's looking for. Damn. All right. Well, forget it. Anyway, what's that? Your brother has block the screen. Click the screen. All right. Whatever. Yeah, this stream yard, man. I got I got an intro for the Lodd Manafess show,
Okay.
but I'm not that savvy as far as playing the intro. Like you look at these YouTube channels, people are good at what they do, as far as their intro, their outro. I don't quite know how to do that yet, but I got three people up in here. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the
Okay.
like the show, and I'm Lodd Manafess. Welcome to the show. I've been doing this show for a good while. I haven't been on in a minute, but been looking. I haven't had a chance to find any true MCs like my man Antlive to come up on the show. The last show, or artist that came up was talking to MC Shan and DJ K Rock. That was pretty dope.
Okay, dope. Yeah.
Mm, that was real good.
So how did that show go? So that was your launch. Yeah, that was your launch for this, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. Turn your screen back on.
Okay. All right. And my screen went off on you. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I
Let me
don't see you. Bring your screen back.
let me get you rocking. Let me get you rocking. Get that screen on. Boom. All right. How we looking now?
Okay, there you go. You good?
Beautiful, man. Word up. So I appreciate you having me on this show, my G. Yeah, man. We've been knowing each other for some years, and you know, you've had platforms on in every era, of hip hop. It seemed like you've always had some sort of platform or whatnot. So, I'm just thankful that when did we link originally? Maybe about 92.
9293, something
Yeah,
like that.
that's right.
I
You was
know
in the
I used to I can't pinpoint where we first like laid eyes on each other. I
That's right.
can't even pinpoint that. But I know I used to hear your commercials on the radio station out there. I used to
Yeah.
hear you rhyming like, damn, it's my man right there.
Well, I think when we started rocking and when we got signed, after I got signed, I wanted to find a way to stay involved because as you know, we got signed, and then a few years later we weren't signed. So I got into radio, and radio personality. He was from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Black. You know, he ended up coming to Detroit and working on FM 98 WJLB. So my cousin Greg Levi Stubbs, uh, he kind of had he was linked with Trey Black, and they was cool, they was hanging out. So he told Trey Black, Trey was like, yo, these guys were signed, I want to get them on my show. So he was like, yo, can you get them to do some promo? So Trey Black was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I do that shit, man. I love to do some promos because I thought by doing these promos, it was going to keep me out there as that artist in Detroit. Detroit not being New York City and not having many avenues for us to stay relevant and to even stay noticeable in hip hop, because
Right.
Detroit, because it was just like I was doing whatever I could to stay popping, if sorts.
No doubt. Yeah, yeah, true indeed. Um,
Yeah.
Trey Black. What was this? Trey Black. Like, how popular he was? No, like, where's he? Where was he from? What was
Well,
his status?
he was from the Bronx, New York. So he had been signed as an artist in the 80s, and I think he was out of his deal real quick. He was, a flash in the pan as far as an MC, but he was relevant because he was in the radio, so he jumped right into radio. And when he got to Detroit probably about 1994, in the nine yeah in he was there in 94. So we got out of our record deal the end of 94. So I just remember, like, I had went up there and did a interview with WJLB, my group MF911. We did an interview, and I was trying to ingratiate myself to the radio station, ingratiate my group MF911, so that we could stay popping or whatnot. But it just happens that uh, they kind of liked what I was doing. They liked my energy when they did the interview with me. So I think uh, the general manager at the time I think her name was Verna Green,
Okay.
and the radio the program director was Steve Hegwood. So once they heard me doing these little radio drops, these little rap radio drops, I was the first one in Detroit to be doing like the raps for the radio stations. Once
Yeah,
they
yeah,
heard,
yep.
yep, once they heard me doing these rap radio drops, they asked me to be a part of the show with this new guy who was coming to town called the Bushman. And Trey Black he was only there for a little bit over a year. You know what I'm saying? Because Trey Black he was popping, so he didn't just need Detroit radio. So I
Right.
think he had a contractual obligation that that they couldn't work out. So I remember Steve Hegwood saying, we bringing in this other guy called the Bushman. We want you to be his co-host and program director. And then that's how I got into radio in Detroit, which was actually doing an interview with my group MF911, and then just kind of presenting myself and showing my talents, and end up being part of the radio station for maybe about a year or so, about a year and a half.
Now let me ask you something. Who came up with MF911? Like, where did that name come from?
Okay, so we going back to the 80s. We going back to my group. Well, when we got started, me, Ced, and Mainy, you know what I'm saying? Primarily me and Ced. Mainy was much younger than us. You know what I'm saying? He's 4 years younger than us. So me and Ced had a good jump on him. So we was creating the group names. We were Philly Boy Production is the group name that I came up with us first, because my block was Philadelphia. I loved Boogie Down Productions, so I named us Philly Boy Productions. Which wasn't too what you call it, it wasn't too artistic. We was halfway biting off of somebody else's name. So as we develop our group and
Hey, pause me a minute. Wait a minute, Antlive. Do me a favor. Turn your camera sideways, so so
okay,
so it can stretch out. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now
okay,
we looking good.
okay, all
Okay,
right,
this is good. Yeah,
that work
no
for you?
doubt. Boom. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Carry on.
So we was just coming up with different names for the groups, and I think we end up coming up with Megaforce. We were in the ultramagnetic MCs. We wanted to be like the ultramagnetic. And I think the closest name to that might have been Megaforce 911. So, hey, son, Megaforce 911. So, well, we came up with Megaforce, and then we linked up with Chuck D afterwards. And then he kind of reshaped the name of the group, and he called us MF 911. And he got the 911 because he said he had a single coming out called 911 is a joke. And he said, well,
Mm.
if y'all name y'all group 911, that'll give you our song and y'all group, give you a little bit more shine, notoriety. Look, people be checking for you. Maybe we can connect the dots, yada yada. So, and we wanted to keep the Mega Force. And he was like, well, yo, don't call it Mega Force. He was just call it MF. So people could either think motherfucking or people could think Mega Force or whatever. And that was still our identity. We were Public Enemy lovers, but we were made in the mode of the ultramagnetic MC. So, our whole at that time in the 80s, we wanted to be them. We weren't too original, I think, in that sense. And the reason why I don't think we were original is because we liked the East Coast MCs. We liked the East Coast rap. So a lot of cats in Detroit. Detroit, we had our own sound, our own style of music. Like you can go to different places and people have their own style and their own vibe of music. You can go to New Orleans and it'll be that band and you can hear it in the hip hop and everything. So Detroit, we a techno city. So, even with the rappers who come out in Detroit, they still got that sound, that authentic Detroit sound. Me and Ced, we didn't want that Detroit sound. We didn't want we wanted more samples. You know what I'm saying? We wanted the thick snares and the thick ashy kicks, drums.
No, no, no. Pause right there. Far as I'm concerned,
Right.
I believe MF 911 was original. Now, when I think about um Detroit sound, Detroit does have a sound, but
Yeah.
it's not that. I'm saying when it comes to that realness of that boom bap, I would say you guys were the first. When I was in the lab doing my Lodd Manafess thing over at Undercurrent, and we was in the lab, and on the SSL board we had MF 911 CD laying there. And as soon as I grabbed a hold of it and I'm listening to it, I'm like, damn, it sound like they from NYC. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound nothing. The beats, it doesn't sound like nobody from Detroit with that type of slang flow. So when you
Yeah.
say original, not original, I gotta disagree with you, and live. MF 911, you brothers was original. You was
I
original. Now, pardon me. You can say
okay.
that you wanted to be like Ultra
Okay.
Mag, and that's all good. But I could be in the gym
Hmm.
tomorrow listening to a whole channel of Ultra. After that, I could turn on MF 911 and be like
Or
zone out. Like and
okay.
it's different.
Okay.
MF
Okay.
911
That's
sound
love,
different
bro.
from
That's
Ultra.
love.
The
That's love,
the
man.
beats the beats is definitely rugged. Now when you was just out here last week, I was
Hmm.
talking to you about about certain songs was bugging me out, kind of sound bugged
Yeah.
out, but the album is a top 10. I don't care what no one says. The album was a top 10. Now let me ask you something.
Okay.
The MF 911, did y'all reach the source? Did y'all
We
reach
we
the source?
yeah, yeah, we was in the
What
source. We
what
was in
what
the source
what mics
XXL.
did they throw you?
We didn't get a mic rating in the source. We didn't get it. We just got a half a page article in the source because the source was, I think back then, was really an expensive thing. Our Even though my label mates was Salt and Pepper and the Paper Boy and those,
Paperboy.
uh, yeah, our music, we were the hip hop act of the group. So Eddie O'Loughlin, who was the president and owner of Next Plateau, uh, he wanted to break us through mixtapes. He wanted to break us through the underground. See, I didn't know at this time when we were recording the album and our album came out. I didn't know the shit about mixtapes. I didn't know what a mixtape was. I didn't know what a how he was the underground way of breaking our music to the public was. I didn't know any of that for the simple fact because we were from Detroit, so we didn't have any example of what we were to do. That's why the only examples is watching TV, Yo MTV Raps or BET. Those were our only examples. I didn't have an example of going to the Fever or to the Rooftop or to this club on the east side of Detroit or that club on the west side of Detroit. It wasn't no hip hop. So the only hip hop that we were getting was what was presented to us. And what was presented to us at that time, which was before me, which was a Awesome Dre, or Chaos and Maestro, or the group AWOL. These were the examples before MF 911 came out. So we would look at all of them like the closest to what I wanted to be like was maybe a Chaos and Maestro because
Yeah, they were
you know
rugged. They were
yeah,
hard.
they were rugged. They beats sound like New York, but understand they shit still sound Detroit though.
Yeah, they did. They did have a Detroit sound. You
They
right.
had a
You
Detroit sound, but
you right.
they had the boom bap though. You couldn't front on their music. And they were my example. So I was like, okay, Chaos was rhyming hard, and Maestro had these incredible dope boom bap beats. So, you know, they were the closest that I could say we wanted to be like. Awesome Dre, he was dope, but he was a dancer. And it was more like with him. We were boom bap, so we weren't into no dancing. We weren't into no. We wanted to be standing in the alley, and we wanted to be as dirty and as raw as possible. If you
Wait,
was
wait,
dancing,
pardon me, not to cut your wisdom. By
right?
the way, the album cover,
Hmm.
that album cover, classic.
You like the
Love the
album
cover.
cover?
Keep building on what you're saying because I wanna talk about that album cover, the creation of it. But go ahead, keep building what you're saying.
No, so I mean, uh, this is what. So our whole structure was built off of the records we would get from New York. Like my partner says, his older brother James had all of the records, right? So as we're coming up in hip hop, uh, what he listens to, what their older brother listens to, is the model of what we want to be, is the model of the music that I kind of listened to and what I wanted to structure my group. I was always had my music taste was always different. I liked the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and hard shit like that, and Jimi Hendrix and Rick and Rick James and stuff. So I always had my ear. I needed my music to be a little bit more edgy. Black people, our music is funky and soulful and shit like that.
Right.
If you get into rock and roll, it's you know what I'm saying. So I think my musical ear was closer than that. So as hip hop comes, Run DMC, yeah, that's my taste. Uh, Slick, who else? Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, I like them, but they more party. Uh, UTFO, I love them, but they were more party. I didn't. That wasn't what I wanted to be. Oh, okay, Coogee Rap. Okay, that shit is raw. Okay, Big Daddy Kane, he's smooth, and his lyrical prowess is on next level, but he's too smooth for me. Public Enemy. Okay, that's I see something. So this, as you can see, I'm just kind of giving you the 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 id and the it of what I'm seeing musically and what we're seeing. So when James is getting these ultramagnetic records, these Mantronics records, these
Mm-hmm.
Just Ice records, uh I already discovered Ice T uh, from the movie Breaking and 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 all of that. So it was just like, okay, that's what it is. And then now, so that's how I got my taste, and that's how we got our niche and where we wanted to go musically. I was not interested in Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Wait,
I
wait,
was not.
wait. Pause a minute. You wasn't feeling Fresh Prince, not the commercial, but I'm saying some of his joints in
Oh,
the album was banging.
I like the Fresh Prince as an actor, and I liked him uh in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air because I was in college and that's the show I watched. I did like summertime. I remember that watching that he dropped that on a episode of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. But no, I didn't like any of the Fresh Prince. I didn't like the
Okay.
Dana. I didn't like Dana Dane because Dana Dane
Boom.
was trying to be like Slick Rick. So all of this music I'm talking about, the Kid and Plays, I enjoyed their music. I liked their personalities, but I didn't. Their movies, but I didn't like their music. I didn't like the let's funky, let's dance. Even if I go back to my high school days, is my youngest teens. Even the way I kind of moved in my life, it was more of rugged and raw. When if I happened to go to a party, I wasn't the guy out there dancing. You know what I'm saying? If I had if if people out there and going to listening to jit music in Detroit and dancing and shit, I thought that me and my boy would think that shit is sad. We would think that shit is corny. You know what I'm saying? Look at these niggas dancing and we over here hardcore rap. That's where my mind state was. I
Agree.
wanted
Agree.
I wanted
Yeah.
to be New York. I wanted to be New York. And uh that is how my music came out. I just want
Well, you know
mhm.
what? Not so much. Let's not say you wanted to be New York. Let's just keep it that hey, you want to be street, grimy. That's it. You want to
No, I
be
wanted.
street grimy.
No. What I mean is, I wanted that New York energy. I
No,
didn't.
no, that's all good, but you want that street grimy. You want like we said, you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
ruggedness because you got motherfuckers rugged somewhere out in Jersey or Miami, rugged. You just want to be hard. That's it.
yeah. I just wanted to. Long as the music was boom bap. Far as when you say raw and rugged, hell. Now, far as a lifestyle, man, I enjoy being a nice guy, but when it came to the music, I just really needed my shit to be is raw and is possible, and that is where my creativity and our creativity as a group happened. And the great thing about it is, me and Ced, my Ced Rat, we had the same sort of energy and vibe. So I think that's why we collaborated so good musically with the MF911 when it just came to far as creating music. I mean, behind that album, that album, I really appreciate your love on that album, but that album, that album was a whirlwind to create. And that album was really put together like three different times
Hey,
within.
pause a minute and live. Hey, can you bring your name back up? Bring your name back up.
Okay.
Yeah, bring your name back up so we keep you there.
I didn't know my name is gone. Where is it going at?
or did I? Let me see something. Let
Yeah,
me, let me see something.
I think that's you because the
Oh, that
name
was
is
me. Okay, okay, because I had put in my cash app. I'll go back and forth, but
okay, no doubt.
yeah, you can tell I don't be on stream. I don't be on StreamYard a lot. I do my show every now and then. I'm
Okay,
lucky I
okay,
still got the show going. But yeah, keep
no
going.
doubt.
Keep going.
No,
So you and Ced Rat, that's your man the way y'all met. Matter of fact, how did y'all meet? How did everybody meet? Like who was the first person you met to start off MF9?
it was me and said, he
Before
lived
the
down.
other two members. It
Yeah,
was y'all
me and
two
said,
before the other two.
I was rapping, and well, me and said we started in a group together, so we were actually playing regular instruments and singing Michael Jackson and Prince music. And we had a couple of his cousins. So his family, like Said's family, I would probably say is an extension to my family because growing up, I did not have a lot of friends that I would hang out with or associate. Like I played, like I had a couple different lifestyles. Like I was a basketball player in Detroit, and then I was also this rapper. So um, I had associates and people I played basketball with, growing up trying to make it in hoops from, middle school to high school. But I only had a few true friends that I would say, yo, these guys have been my real friends since I was a kid. So I met Ced in 1981 or 1980 when I was about 10, 11 years old. And the other guys are his brothers. So Mainy Main, who's also in the group, he's 4 years younger than Ced. Me and Ced are the same age, and they're brothers. So that's how Manny ended up coming in the group. Anyway, he was like, "Yo, we kind of taught him and raised him in the music game." So again, when me and Ced, we was playing instruments. He Ced was a drummer, I was a drummer, but he was a better drummer. He was a good musician. He could play everything by ear. He was very smooth with it. Look, lot better than me. So we complemented each other because I had a different ear, he had a different ear. We just created. So we was rap. We was doing the music, and then when hip hop came, um, I knew in 19. I want to say 84. I was in the eighth grade. 85, 84. I was in the eighth grade, and I did a talent show. And I remember after that talent show, I was into hip hop before then, but once I did that talent show in the eighth grade, I knew this is what my life was going to be. I knew that, uh, I don't know, maybe I have an addictive personality or I want to see the best out of me because I'm not the best rapper, the best producer, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room. But I understood that this is what I loved, and I was going to find a way to stay involved and be a part of music some way, and especially hip hop, because when that hip hop bug came, 84, 80, 85, for me, it exploded. It exploded a few years earlier when I was in the sixth grade, but I was still playing R&B music, so it just wasn't prevalent in 83 or 82. It didn't stick out like that. So when it finally stuck out like that for me, me and Cher, we just transferred from being musicians in the group to now being rappers together. So we already had the ear to make music. We just didn't know how to create our own music because we still young. We 14, 15, when we really jumping in it tough. So, back then, we could play a Michael Jackson song with a live bass and a keyboard and a drum set, but it was a
Yeah,
different, we had never been in the studio. So once we get in the music studio and we trying to create hip hop, that was a different thing. Because we went for a long time, we didn't even know that guys were sampling. Guys would be sampling all the time. We didn't know that that was sample. We thought they was playing the regular music. So
right.
we might have heard the song over and over, but I still didn't know that it was a sample. So, said being having a better, a little bit better music ear than me, he would he started rapping off of records because my whole idea was we was creating our own music. We was
So,
doing it
so,
on a
so wait a minute, pardon me. Quick question.
Go.
So MF 911, the Idol the Blood Sport, dope ass album. Um, so Ced Rat, who did most of the production on that album?
Well, when we first started recording the album, we started recording it with Ced G as the producer, right? So, when we got our deal in 1992, we got our deal in the winter. So maybe we got our deal in maybe March or April. We end up flying to New York in May. So when we flew to New York with the understanding that the great Ced G, who was our idol, and it was like for us working with Ced G was like working with DJ Premier maybe right now. If somebody say, "Yo, who you want to work with right now?" I might say, maybe Alchemist or something. So back then for us, it was Ced G. So to actually have Ced G get us a record deal, get us signed, and he gonna produce our album was like the biggest thing for us. But what really happened is that um, when we fly down to New York, we had this budget. We had a really nice budget. We had about 60 G's when we started off with the project. And we got me and Sid, we got our little advancement. And
Hmm.
when we got our advancement, we end up, Ced G got the majority of the money because it was just a production deal. So, we were signed to the record label, but we were also signed to his production company. So when it seemed like when the money came, we
Yeah,
finally go down to New York to record. Ultra had just got a new record deal with Mercury Records. So as we are signing with Next Plateau, Polygram, they're going to Mercury Polygram Records, right?
yeah,
So when we go down there to record that summer with Ced G, they're working on and completing Funk Your Head Up album. Okay, that's the Funk Your Head Up. That's the Ultra second album. So
yeah, yeah,
that album is just getting done. Tim Dog is out. And MF 911, we the next up, right?
yeah.
So I remember when we get down there, we're posted up at the hotel, and we finally for a while, and we end up going to Ced's, and the first thing Ced G says to us was, "So where's your beats?"
Where's your beats?
That's what he said to us. I remember that. That was the first thing he said to us. He was like, "So we sitting down on the couch, we in the Ultra Lab, and now you gotta understand, we don't get this record deal unless it's in, we don't get the record deal unless because unless Ced G gets us the deal. You know what I'm saying? So he creates the original demos that got us the deal. Everything is on his word. He's going to do everything for us. So when he didn't have the beats ready for us when we got down there, it kind of threw us off. Now we had brought some beats, but we didn't think our beats were on the caliber or
Oh,
line of a Ced G.
G.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're still young producers, so we got samplers and stuff, but we don't even know how to sequence like or split the drums and shit like you should. We dealing with straight loops. If this shit ain't looped, it ain't. So it was sounding good, but it was sounding more mush. Ced was supposed to give us that clean sound. It was supposed to take us. So anyway, when we start
Oh,
getting the beats, when we down there, he starts looking for beats for us, right? Well, I I seem to think, and I would think me and Ced seem to think like we getting the B and C beats, the B and the C and the D beats. And no disrespect to Ced G or anything, because he's the one who got us the deal, but we didn't get his good shit. We got the shit that Ultra wouldn't use, and then whoever else was under Ultra wouldn't use that shit. So we was getting them beats. So I remember my partner said and us, we was recording and we was recording, and I ended up being down there a few months. My partner was down there maybe a few weeks. So I did a lot more recording with Ced G, a lot more solos and stuff.
Hey,
And
Paul, me a minute. And live. I see
yes,
I got
sir.
5 people in here. Hit the like button. Hit that like button. I need that support. Salute. Go ahead, and live.
So we doing this. We recording the album down there, and we finally get it done in New York. So we
But wait,
come
wait a
back.
minute though. Pardon me. So said G giving you these
Hmm.
BC beats.
Yeah.
He had no production or rugged tracks ready for you.
Nah, it was
Did you like question said G, like pull him to the side like, okay, we out here, what's up with the
no.
beat?
We was young, man. You gotta understand, we was in a catch 22. If it's not for said G, we don't get this record deal, homie. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, if it's not for him, we don't get a record deal. But yet and still, when we get the record deal and we get this nice budget, bro, we got signed. Like Eddie O'Loughlin told me, he said, man, we was in a meeting and I was complaining, right? And he told me to my face, he was like, man, I signed you guys and you didn't even have a hit.
What?
Yeah, and he was real. He was keeping it
Mm.
real. He said, so he was letting me know I signed you off said G's word. I signed you because said G said I need to sign you. So with that being said,
Did he say
we
that respectfully or was he being disrespectful?
we was in a meeting and I guess he was, when I was voicing my opinion, because I've always been a person to speak up. Sometimes I might speak up to my detriment, but I'm going to speak up. I'm not a guy who holds it back and everything, especially when opportunity is on the line. You know what I'm saying? So, when I speak up, sometimes it's done good for me, and sometimes it's done bad for me. You know what I'm saying? But at least I put it out there where I live with no regrets. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that, okay, shit, I'm gonna put it on the line. I'm gonna try it the best I can. So my Ced was more of a quiet, the laid back guy. He was in there. He took care of the business. He helped create the music. He dropped the dope rhymes. We would
Okay, so
discuss.
yeah, so now you answer my question. So Ced Rat, he did production on MF 911.
Oh yeah, we both did. So
You
when okay,
both did the beats. So because
so
the
go
beats,
ahead.
no, let me ask this, and you go back and say what you said on said. So when I'm taking basically MF 911, you guys did more of the production than said G on your album.
Well, the album was originally completed in the summer of '92. Like, I mean, in like August of '92, the album was completed. The majority of the beats, maybe 80% of the beats at that time, was
Came from you.
produced by said G. So when we came back to Detroit with a mixed album, we had mixed the album at Rough House Records in August. When we came back to Detroit, we went to RJ Rice studio where Slum Village was, and
Okay.
Jay Dilla and
Rest in
Ade
peace.
Maynard. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of these guys where they were hanging out. And I remember us playing the album for them, right? When we played the album for them, they laughed at us, and said, it was like
Mm.
I heard that, they didn't say it to our face, but they were kind of saying, "Yo, this album ain't hot, it ain't banging, it ain't so."
So wait a minute, Aunt Lob. So this must be the album that us, the fans, we didn't hear that album.
You
We
didn't
didn't
hear a
hear
lot
it.
of the song. Yeah, you didn't hear a lot of the songs on that album because when we come home and we get the derogatory energy from other boom bappers who, these guys didn't have record deals, but it's like Slum Village, because those are the guys who, it was like T3 and all of them guys.
Rest in
They
peace.
they didn't yeah, they didn't have record deals yet, but they were the next guys up. And they had Dilla and his hip hop, even back then in 1992, 93, was an established professional sound. So when they told us our album was whack, we ended up calling the record company president, and I had to play the role
Damn.
of manager, and I had to play. We all wore different hats, and since I had the mouthpiece, which could help us as well as hurt us, I did a lot of the talking up for the group. So, I remember we contacting the label and letting them know, yo, man, we can't put this album out. So hence, after August of 92, we spend this whole year. When did the album come out? The album came out in October of 93. So from let's just say from May of 92 all the way to October of 93, uh, we were recording new songs, working with various producers, and upgrading our production skills. So we had an opportunity to work with Dilla. Uh, Dilla was hard to work with. He was even popular back then.
Mm.
We went to go meet with him to get beats from him. He made us wait at his house for damn near 3 hours, four
Oh, so
hours.
that was a true story. I heard about that. But go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, it was a true story. We went to him and Mainy Main had went to school together, the third member in our group. So they went to high school together. And I remember he ended up giving Mainy Main some floppy disks. So I remember using those floppy disks. I don't know if we did a demo off of them or anything. Well, we didn't use it. So we were going back over there to get beats from him and to actually get in the studio with Dylan and work with him and get some real structured shit instead of him just giving us beats and you go to the lab and write. We about to work with him. But he made us wait out his house for 40 minutes, and we weren't arrogant, but me and Ced we were impatient. I wish I would have waited because he was
Mm.
coming. His mama was nice. She was letting us wait. But we had a record deal, and we was like, we got a deal, and we waiting. His beats wasn't even incredible back then. So, okay, so that was the situation that and we ended up getting something from him from a remix, but it just wasn't the same. So we ended up waiting for him. So we was working with various producers. We was working with Ade Maynard, Jason Staten. He's the guy who helped Wu-Tang get their deal. He was from Lansing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah, yeah. Shout
we
out
was
to
working.
Jason Staten, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So we worked with different people. So at this time, even though we working with different people, we still doing productions because we got the RSA, the ASR 10, the MPC. I think I had the MPC 2. So we doing our own production. But even though our production is good, it's still we need something for the first album to really pop us into the stratosphere. So we had some songs on there that was cool, but if we would have had some more um if we would have had we had this one single that Jason Staten did for us that said G didn't want on the album. It was called Come
What?
On. Yeah. Jason Staten did a song for us called Come On, right? And it was probably, I feel still to this day, it's on the internet. Uh
I gotta look that up.
yeah, Come On it could go out right now, bro.
Mm.
It could go out right now if we was doing some boom bap shit, right? But said G told us it sound too Latin. And no, we're thinking when we made this beat, this was one of the last beats we made before the album came out. We were thinking like, yo, this is gonna be the beat that propels us to where we need to go. This is it. And said G heard it and he was like, nah, I don't like the beat. So it was, I didn't know what we was doing. It was a lot of politics in our situation because, um, I did a lot of talking and a lot of speaking up for it. So, maybe I feel like uh maybe I might have been stepping on some toes. You know what I'm saying? So by me stepping on some toes, I might be burning a bridge with some of the powers that be. But when you 22, 23 years old. You don't know that. All I'm trying to do is speak up so that me and my man Ced and Mainy, we can get our little place in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Find our little for this opportunity that doesn't come often.
So,
For a
so,
record
so
a
pause a
record
minute.
deal.
So what I would like to know when y'all came out to NYC and
Uh-huh.
the first thing y'all said, G faces, where's your beats? What was your like? What was your reply? Because if you coming out to New York and he's like, okay, where's your beats? Was Ced G expecting you guys to have a DAT full of production so
I
he
don't
can try to
know.
cut your flow? Because right now, when you tell me about Jason Staten and then Ced G says he don't like the beat, but wait a minute, son, you just asked me where's my beat, and now I got a beat and you don't like it. So I just wanted to know what was the reply when he was like, "Where's your beats?"
Well, when Seji asked us that, we were humble, man. We weren't in the least bit bothered by it when he said it. We were a little scared that we didn't have beats, like he told us to have. We wanted to please. Me and Sid were young. We were green, but we weren't dumb. I was playing. I was in college playing college ball. I had other dreams and goals besides music. So you know,
No doubt.
by far, throughout my life, as throughout my youth, I've never been the best at anything. I never been the best rapper in my school. I never been the best basketball player. I never been the best producer or the best musician. I always had to get it. You understand? I always had to find my niche or find my way to be a part of, to be involved. So when these opportunities and when these things are coming at us at first, this is early in the game when he asked us to remember. This is when we first got to New York. Jason Staten, his beat came months and months and months and months later, as we're recording more songs to release this album. That's when his. But when I thought about it, even to this day, I have all of my own personal theories on why Said G didn't let us pick that beat. You know what I'm saying? Because man, I love Said G, man. I love him, but I don't think we don't. I'm put it. I'm very transparent, bro.
Of
You
course.
understand? You know what I'm saying? I'm a transparent guy. So if I do something, whether it's good or bad, I'm gonna acknowledge whether it was good or bad. You follow what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not the type of guy who can look in the mirror and be on some fake shit and be like, oh man, it's not really like that. When I know, nigga, it's really like that. You tripping. You know what I'm saying? So I never held back, with my from the time we was recording with Said G to the time the album came out to even to this point now, like I never held back my thoughts on it. I think when we were recording the album, we wanted to get out of Said G's production deal, right? Because we had a
Spoke about
manager.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a manager named Jonathan Kinlock, and he was telling us he was managing the group High Five. He was
Mm,
working with he was working with Puffy. He was working with Teddy Riley. So he was working with all of these different people, and he found time to work with us,
great.
and give us the word that we needed. It was love, but his thing was like, yo, said he ain't doing nothing for y'all. He's controlling the money. Y'all got to get out the deal. Whatever monies there was, you know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about the money. I just wanted good music. I just wanted my opportunity to have another opportunity again.
That's your legacy. That's your legacy. Yeah.
That's it, man. Shit. 60,000 to 80,000, $100,000. That ain't shit, man. Me and Sid didn't give a fuck about that. We was still working jobs and going to college. So we didn't money wasn't our issue. So let's just get this understanding. Money wasn't our issue. It was we didn't have no money to pay for the top-notch producers.
Mm.
None of the producers, it's not like Ced G was going out and saying, "Yo, okay, I'm gonna get Diamond D to work with you. Okay, I'm gonna get Premier to work with you. I'm gonna get these other guys." It was just like when we got the budget, he gave us what he was gonna give us, and he took the rest, and then we was ass out. So after the summer, we was getting budget, we was getting money from the record label to kind of continue recording in Detroit. So we continue putting these songs out. So if they they was giving us more money to record, but it was like maybe when you think about it, we should have been asking for money for this producer, but still Eddie O'Loughlin, they put out so much money that to hire another producer, I wasn't cognizant and smart enough to be thinking like when they giving us these extra money and these budgets to go to the studio, because they would give us $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 at a time to go do what we can. I should have been like, me and my Ced should have been like, okay, let's go get this 1,000 to Dilla, or let's go get this 1,000 to such and such. But what we were doing, we would record and then we would have to pocket the rest of the money because we needed to live. You know what I'm saying? So
No doubt. So deep down in your heart,
mhm.
do you feel like do you feel like Ced G didn't believe in MF 911, or Ced G believed in MF 911, or was it to a point where okay, these guys is not from the BX, so I'm gonna try to like Ced G playing both sides of the fence, like I'm gonna act like I'm gonna really do for them, but I'm only gonna put a little bit in it, but I'm gonna go for mine. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like he believed in MF9, or how do you feel about that?
We caught him at a wrong time. Like when I was doing an interview with Chuck D, and he got us the deal, but he was trying to get his shit off. He had just jumped from Next Plateau, who he was doing business with us, and he was on Mercury, and he's got a new album coming out, and he's still thinking about being that top artist, that top group. He had already got the money up front for us. He had already got the budget. The budget was already in hand when we signed the deal. Eddie O'Loughlin sent him and his lawyer the money, and then him and his lawyer paid us what they was going to pay us. So he had already got what he needed. You know what I'm saying? Not in a negative. Let me just get this one for anybody
No,
listening.
I get it.
For anybody listening to this, not in a negative, but if you do a job right, and they say, "Yo," for example, I get in the studio, like people know me in Detroit. I had the studio, I'm a producer and everything. And the only way I work is you gotta pay me the money up front. For me to do a beat, an Antlive beat for you, or to give you some studio time or whatever, I always needed to have my money up front. So after you get the money, you can kind of dictate the terms. You understand? All right, I'm gonna fuck with you on Friday and Saturday at this time, or maybe Monday, whatever. I can dictate the terms once I got the bread. So it was the same kind of situation, but it was after he got the money, it's not like he was going in there and making new beats for us and say, here, and here, Ced, even throughout that year. When he did his job, when we left New York and he had produced that album in August, he was done with it far as producing. That was it. He wasn't coming with nothing else. So remember, this is August of 92. Eddie O'Loughlin wanted that album to come out in the summer of 1992, maybe in August or July. We had just finished it in August. And then, like I told you, when we came home in Detroit, everybody was saying it was whack at first. So that's why we spending all of this time, all of these months re-recording. Ced G is not making new beats for us. He's not doing anything new for us, nothing. So
So what
it's
I take
trial and
is
error
that
with me and my Ced in Detroit.
right. So what I get from it, Ced G probably only had. It seemed like his belief wasn't, it was like he just believed he could just get what he can get and get out. He wasn't gonna really invest his time to put his belief in it. That's what I'm getting from what you're telling me.
Well, maybe so, and maybe because um
And how many beats?
I was listen, me and said, gee, we fell out early. We fell out in August. Um and
Yeah.
we fell out in August, I think, over money. When
See,
I when
see,
I when
that'll
I
do it.
yeah,
That'll
when this
do
is
it.
August 92. So the deal was this. He was giving us this much advancement right up front. He gave us a certain amount of money advancement up front. When we turn in the album, he's supposed to give us the second amount, the second part of the advancement, right? So when we recording the album in New York, remember I told you earlier in the story, my Ced Rat, he only stayed in New York for about 2 to 3 weeks, right? Recording all his parts, right? Not just recording his parts, just recording the songs, and then he went back to Detroit for whatever business he needed to take care of. He went back to Detroit. I stayed in New York. So hence, since I stayed in New York, we would record more songs, right? I do solos, da 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 da. So when I go home to Detroit, right, after we record the album, I go home to Detroit for about 2 weeks, and then we're to meet in Philadelphia to mix the album
Yeah.
at Rough House Records with Joe the Butcher, right?
Mm.
So that's what we're gonna do. So I leave New York, come back to Detroit, 2 weeks. So now my Ced, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
could not make the trip to New York to mix the album, correct? So me
Well,
and my Ced, we the two main guys in the group. So he was working, so he couldn't make the trip to go to Philadelphia to mix the album. So I went, right? So the record company
when you
sent
say Philadelphia, you're talking.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, PA. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
at Rough House Records, right? So the record company in turn sends me $1,000, right? Right. The record company sends me $1,000 to drive to New York. I mean to Philadelphia, Rough House Records, to mix the album. They just sent me $1,000 for gas, rental car,
Wow.
amenities, da 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 da. Right. So
Wow.
my Ced again couldn't go. So if we would have went, we would have been splitting everything together. You follow what I'm saying? They
Gotcha.
sent us 1,000, so we split everything. But so-called my Ced didn't go, right? So I go, I take the $1,000 and I go to Philadelphia, mix the album with Ced G, come back home. We turn in the album in August, right? We turn in the album in August. And when Ced G sends us the second part of our advancement, I'm short $1,000. I'm short a
Yeah.
thousand dollars. So I'm like, why am I short $1,000? So they were like, yeah, the record company sent you $1,000. But I said, that was for both of us. So throughout that time, it's just conflict. And I'm not happy. I'm not the type of guy that's just gonna sit back and be like this. Maybe I should have. Maybe if I'd have sat back like this and just chill and just relax, uh, maybe things would be different. I don't know. But it was so much uh bullshit, not bullshit, but non-help and non what do you call it, development, or uh me and said we weren't being led. We had, we it's not that we needed a manager. We had said, gee, we was on his production company. So being on somebody's production company, they supposed to be able to put you in a position, whether you get singers, production, or features, or whatever, so you can win. But it was like every time it got to the point where we was doing everything. So when we finally get down to completing the album, me and I had probably the most tracks. My Ced and I had the most tracks. Then Ced G, all his tracks had dwindled down to maybe 2 or 3. I mean, maybe
On
about
the
3 tracks
album. On
on
the
the
album.
album. Yeah, on
So
the
yeah,
album.
that's what I thought. Y'all did more on your
Yeah.
album. That's what. Yeah.
So we had one by track master 3030. We had Ced G had maybe 3. Um, we had a Dilla track that we that
Which Dilla track?
product 19. I think no. What is it, product 19? Yeah, it might have been product 19. It was one of them. We got the loop. We got the a loop from him, and
Okay.
it was what not 900 remix. The
Oh.
900 remix. That was the loop that we got off of Dilla, and
Oh.
one
Okay.
one of the songs on the product 19. No, it's not product 19, and it's not shots of cold gunning. It's uh, it's another one on there. It's gonna come back to me, but
No,
it's another one.
it'll come to you.
It'll
We
come
can
back
all
to me.
go back and
Yeah.
bang the album out.
So I guess to go
But
back
that's
with it,
dope.
but I
So
think what
Dilla.
it did is it struck a nerve with Ced G. So you
Wait
know,
a minute. What struck a nerve with said?
well, I think the conflict and us with the album and maybe it not coming out originally when maybe it should have, maybe because he just kind of just dropped off. He stopped working with us. It was
I
crazy.
see where you're going. Because the beats, like you said, when you went back to the D and everybody wasn't filling your tracks, Ced G wanted y'all to put that album out with them beats, and then y'all really probably wouldn't be nowhere today. Son, let me tell you, I know what you're saying is true. I don't know, but I believe you.
Yeah,
If that album came out, I'm keeping it real with you, Antlive. If that album came out with Ced G and you said them beats went and all that, I would have been like, you know what, Ant? I would see you now, be like, Ant Live.
but we could look
Ced
at
G
it in
did this. Yeah, I think
we
you
could
did
look at
right for stepping up to be like, nah, man, I can't put this out. I think you did right. No maybes about it. You stepped up and let them know that you can't get the upper hand on me. You did right by what you're doing. That's why that album is dope as shit right now, son.
I
I
appreciate.
believe you did right, and live.
You
Whoa.
know what? I thought that I was doing right, Radar, but when I think about it all of these years later, sometimes I'm apprehensive about it because I figure maybe if we did put that album out, right, like it is, maybe we would have got a shot. I know we would have got a shot at making a second album and getting a second budget, and maybe that happens. Maybe that happens. That's just you don't know. Hindsight is 2020, but maybe that shit happens. But when I just couldn't sit there and having knowing, and I was very I understood the ideal that I might never ever get a chance to make another record again on a major record label. So, I was of the sound mind that I wanted to take the best. I wanted to get the best I could for the with the opportunity that I had. But really, man, me and my said, we didn't have a chance, man, because the truth is after we got that big budget, we didn't have no money to do. We were getting, money here and there from the record label, but man, we were around the Dillas and we were all we had started getting out once we had this record deal and we had the budget. We were starting to be known locally. People started to know about us before the album came out because we were one of the first to put out a major album.
No,
You know,
hold
you
on right there. Now I'm glad. I'm glad you went right there.
okay?
So did MF911, did you guys actually gain national success? Meaning that, okay, was your album cross seas, the MF911 go across seas, as well as being all over the states of that type of national success? Because I did see I did see what was your video was on MTV, right?
Yeah,
MTV did play it.
and BT.
So
Yeah, we were.
did y'all gain the national success from that?
Well, our label was our distributor was based out of England, so our distribution came, I think, from England first because we were with London Polygram. You know, they had
Oh
Polygram
wow,
record. They had
wow.
Polygram, but Next Plateau was distributed by London Polygram. So
Mm.
I had a following in overseas in Europe that I knew nothing about until YouTube came about, right? You know, so it was like um,
Wow.
during the 90s, how many times are you traveling? And you got to look at it like this with MF911. When our album came out, we didn't tour. The reason that we didn't tour and do promo tours is because I was in college, I was married, and I had a baby. So,
Mm.
and I was playing college basketball.
Whoa. Whoa.
So when our album came out on October 9th of 1993, I had just had my baby in September of 93, and I was playing college basketball waiting for the season to start November 1st of 93
Mm.
in my junior year. So uh my mind my mind, even though music, I had a record deal, and that was, I had a budget, I had a big opportunity, I had a dream that most of all, us all would put in 100% of the time. I just kind of had the thought process in mind that uh, college basketball, to play college basketball, which was my dream, music and basketball was 50-50. I gave them both the same amount of time from the inception of both. I fell in love with basketball in the fifth grade. I fell in love with music in the fifth grade, 1980 Sugar Hill Gang. So I never gave one more energy than the other in my youth, in my teens, and in my early 20s. So when I had this record deal, this chance of a lifetime, there was no way that I was going to say, okay, I got this record deal, fuck playing ball. If I couldn't play college basketball, then I wouldn't have done the music. You understand? I would have gave up music to play college basketball because that's just what it. Because I understood I only had a 4 year window. I wasn't going to the pros. I wasn't good enough to go to the pros. None of that shit. But you only get 4 years in college, and I knew in this lifetime, in this body that God gives me, I don't want to live my life with regrets. I never wanted to be a shoulda, coulda, woulda nigga. So I did both of them at the same time. So to that point, that might have been my detriment
Mm.
because I couldn't promote the album. I didn't do the promo tours. But I think by that time, right, the president, Eddie O'Loughlin, it just seemed like he had lost steam, right?
Mm.
He had lost steam for the project.
Mm.
So it became more of on October 9th, Salt and Pepper released their Shoot album. Shoot, 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 do, do. So that album comes out the same and is released the same day as the MF911 Idol the Bloodsport album. So I remember Eddie O'Loughlin telling us, like, yo, man, uh, don't worry about it. Uh, Salt and Pepper's promotion is not going to take from y'all. Y'all two different type of vibes.
Mm.
It's cool, but when he put us out, there was some discrepancies with, I think maybe it was DJ SNS or one of them top DJs. And I was like, yo, did you get the music? And he when I talked to him on the phone, he was like, no, I never got the music. And then I called the record label and I said, yo, he don't got the music for the. It was a bunch of back and forth shit. It was so. I just think that momentum was lost, energy was lost, and then to be honest, Next Plateau was in the process of selling their catalog. I I think to Roadrunner or something like that. So
Mm.
you
Who the hell
know,
is Roadrunner?
Roadrunner is I think was a rock label, and it still might still be a rock label. And they had Next Plateau went to them and they left London Polygram. It was like when all of the independent labels were getting swallowed up and their catalog was being bought by all of the majors. And we were one of the victims to that. But what was said, G man, to be honest, man, like I said, I'll be thankful to him because without him, MF 911 might not have gotten that national recognition or that national
Understood. Yeah.
opportunity. But still, you know, he could have. I think that he could have did a little bit more
Put more
to.
belief in. He could have believed in the group
Right.
more.
Well, I think it was got personal with Seji because he doesn't even mention us in interviews. Like, if you look in the early Ultramagnetic days, you see videos and stuff or interviews. He's always in my group, MF 911. But, I just seen him do an interview on one of these, and he went through some of the groups which weren't many, after when you get into the 90s, but that he was working with, and he never mentioned us. So then I knew it was personal. I knew it was I knew that he had a personal issue with me, and that's bad. That's bad because we still out here when we promoting and we're still going hard as a group. I'm out here. I'm keeping our name out here. But two, we're part of his legacy. But and the crazy thing, you want to know the crazy thing? I worked with Ced G in 2015 on our MF 911 album, Return to the Blood Sport. But yet and still, he jumped on us a few songs and everything.
No, no,
But
hold up, Antlive. We gonna be I'm gonna be interviewing you for the next 10 hours, man.
no,
Yo,
man.
don't speak on that one yet, Sean. Damn,
Okay, 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 okay.
2015. Wow. But
Yeah.
let me ask you. Uh,
You
when you
was
got
asking about the album cover too, by the way, but
no,
whatever.
no,
Let's
I'm,
go.
I'm coming to that. But I want
Okay.
to ask you real quick. Where was TR Love, Mo Love, and Cool Keith at?
Okay, so at the time that we recording the album, TR Love, Mo Love, and Kool Keith, they weren't going to help us. I remember asking them because I was in New York. I lived in New York with them. So
All right.
I remember asking TR Love and Mo Love for a track and for tracks. And I remember them specifically, word for word, saying that they weren't going to do any tracks unless Ced G paid them.
Okay. Okay. I
And
I, I, I
I
I
don't think
guess I
I,
could. I
yeah,
guess. I guess.
and I thought
Mm.
we were Ultra Foundation, but I don't know, what was the internal. It was always from what I just always remember with Ultra, them going through the deals and different things. It just seemed like, uh, when you were here from the outside, it's not like I was privileged to get any inside scoops with them, but from the outside, they was always going through some money issues or masters being sold and other guys not getting it. So when I asked those guys for some tracks, they were like, nah, and they would do it if said G paid,
So
or
Cool
whatever.
Keith wasn't gonna rap on the album unless he got paid.
I would think so because I wasn't I wasn't around Keith a lot, when we was courting. It was a handful of times I was around Keith. And it's not like I was asking a nigga, yo, man, would you get on my track or anything like that. I remember a couple times we was doing shows. They had me out and I went to do some shows with them and shit. and then we bought, but I think Kool Keith always was staying busy on some things. So I never even got the opportunity when we were recording, when I was living in New York, recording to the album, to ask Kool Keith to do something on it.
Okay.
But we were signed to Ced G's production company, so we had automatically thought we was gonna get Kool Keith on it. We had Ced G on the album, so it was not Ced G, not the record label, but the whole situation was shady from the jump. Uh, and it was just like I said, it was money on the table, and this was an opportunity for guys to cement their legacy. And to be honest, you know, in a nutshell, Ced G didn't take the shit serious. He got the budget. Once he got the budget, it was y'all make it happen. I'm giving y'all this. I'm giving y'all an opportunity that way, and we just did the best of what we could do. And hell, you could throw shade and fault at any one scenario, but if I look back, I'm gonna speak up. I'm just gonna speak up. I seen things and I wanted to speak up so that me and my set didn't miss the opportunity that was upon us. But sometimes you can speak up too much and you can be that thing that either helps or hurts. And I just think I helped us because it was me who helped us get the deal. But I just also think that the relationship with Ced G, which I happened to find out years and years and years removed from the MF 911, maybe that hurt us.
Wait a minute. So you saying, okay, so let me ask this: is MF 911 still together? Because as
We,
far as I'm concerned, I never heard anything in the underground that MF 911 broke up. So, but you could, I'm getting it from you. I'm asking, is MF 911 still together?
well, we definitely not making music. The guys are, and myself, we all live in different lifestyles and different ways. Mainy Main is the CFO of the international airport in Toronto,
Mm.
and
Shut up.
Ced is doing really good with his trucking business. And me, I'm a dean in high school, so everybody's doing good. We tried to come back together in 2015,
Yeah,
and
I remember a CD you gave me 90 something. I remember I bumped into you somewhere in the day.
yeah,
You gave me a CD. Yeah, y'all was on top of a building downtown. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all was on
yeah,
top of
yeah.
a, yeah, yeah,
We was always making albums, but our last
yeah.
album was 2015, and we did the Return to the Bloodsport. We did it on Slam Jam, Chuck D's label. He had got us back together to record this album. We had always been recording with each other over the years, but we never did anything officially as MF 911. That was the Return to our Bloodsport was actually our third album. So we had the MF 911 Chronicles. We had the Bloodsport Chronicles. We had the Idol to Bloodsport. We had the Ruckus album,
Yeah, I
and this
remember
one,
that. Whoop.
yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
that doom, 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 doom. What's in it? I was just listening to that. Um, 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 in- um, Indian Tents. Indian
oh
Tents.
yeah, and Indian Tents, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yo,
yeah, yeah. I remember, I remember creating that. When it's crazy
that
when
joint.
you get rappers, and they tell their stories about how they created them songs, and I'll be like, man, them niggas is lying. Like they remember every detail. But I remember that song. Me and Ced creating that one in
Let,
my
let me let
studio.
me let me tell you something, and live. It seemed like when you and MF 911 get together, it's no disappointment. When I
No,
first heard that Indian Tents and there's another joint from. I'm like, this is the most out of the D. I haven't heard no. I mean, shout out to Slumville, Fat Cat, all them, but I haven't heard no one besides the Lodd Manafess.
Right, word up. Word
The
up, man.
beats, when you hear MF 911 get together, the production, the lyrics, you, it's no disappointment.
Well, when me and Ced we create the beats, a lot of times, like, okay, so on the MF 911 album, right? We were creating beats separately.
Mm,
So Ced would create, I would create separately. And why you say we always create separately? Because when we was working on that album, I told you that year, I was in college, right?
wow.
So while I'm in college playing college basketball with this record deal, Ced is back in Detroit working. So all of the equipment is at his house, right? Because I couldn't have the equipment at my in my dorm room or whatever. So all of the
Yeah.
equipment. So Ced that album, okay, we working on together. So I might have had a little bit more production, right, on that album. But everything that else that we pretty much ever done, it was always off of Ced's ear. My Ced Rat was like if we did an album, he would always do like maybe 80, 90% of the production or guide the album because he's real soulful. He's a better musician and has a better ear for in music far as when it comes to instrumentation
Okay.
and melodies and
Like
things.
he,
That
he
was
has music theory. He knows like
he understands the music theory, right?
yeah.
So me, on the other hand, I was more of uh by ear. Like, yo, that shit sounds raw. That's what I need to hear. He could kind of he has the soulful, but his uncle is Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops, so that's his mother's
Wait, his
older
his
brother.
uncle's who?
His uncle is Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's his mother's brother. So they got
Wow.
music. Yeah. And Levi Stubbs wasn't even the biggest singer in their family. I think Joe Stubbs was. So it was
Mm,
they all sang for Motown. So he had music running in his blood. Like his mama, she still performs all around the world and stuff. She's a singer. So,
okay.
with Ced, he always kind of guided our group music sound, and we kind of me and Mainy always went to his sound according to the way he wanted to go with it. Because Ced his shit is impeccable. You know what I'm saying? So we all had roles, but I just think with us as we grew, I was always a guy who was very prideful and I want to say ego, but uh, I was used to always leading, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I think at times for me, when you leading, it would be hard for me to relinquish my understanding for what everybody else is trying to put across or get across. I think that was my issue. So, I could lead, but it was a lot of times it was like with me, since I'm out here and I'm making this shit happen, we got to just go my way when it should have been. It should have been. I should have been more open. So we would always, from time to time, have roadblocks and understandings, but we were always friends first. So even if we not create music together, we still love each other. These guys are still my best friends. I always
That's
ask the
great.
group. Yeah, I always ask the guys, yo, let's get the group back together and let's create some records. But hell, Mainy Main's a millionaire, so he ain't thinking of he ain't thinking about making no damn records. And said is pretty is heavy faith in his religion and Jehovah Witness, and he's really a good guy and preaching the word and trying to disseminate good energy out to everybody. He's definitely a guru for me in my life. It's definitely going through a lot of the things I've been through. We've always been there for each other. So, even though we're not in the studio making records, I'm the only one that's making records. I'm
Wait,
always,
pause a minute before we
mhm.
get into the door. I want to ask you a few more things about
Yeah,
you and
anything. Go
MF
ahead.
911. Then I want to move on
Okay,
and talk about you and other things in your life.
not a doubt,
Um,
no problem, no doubt.
how many shows or how many stages MF 911 stood on together?
Ooh,
Shows, different cities, different places and stuff. Like
man, I ain't gonna lie, man. In the '90s, brother, it was. I want to say a handful of shows. Well, you know what? We did also, even though when we didn't do MF 911 projects, we were doing other projects like the Foundation and the Ruckus Click projects, where we were still working together, but just under different titles, different energies with different rappers and everything. So, as when we passed the MF 911 point, we were performing a little bit more. But when we came drop the MF 911 album, brother, I think we had did two shows from 93 to 95, far as the group MF 911 made a few.
what city did y'all rock at? Where? What
Well,
did y'all?
we rocked Detroit, we rocked Philadelphia, and I want to say it was either Pontiac or something like that.
I
Pontiac
gotta
or
ask a question, Antlive. Why the fuck, son? We didn't have each other numbers, man. I wish I could have been there. I would have. Damn,
Well, we connect. Well, the crazy thing
damn.
is you and I connected during the time that we dropped that album, because I remember, you with the big hat, and you was downtown and you was rapping for.
Wait. You mean this wait, I'm trying to come from the camera. You mean wait,
I can see it.
this hat right here?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You had that big hat right there. Loud Manifest. Still
So let me
talking
ask
like
you,
you was
what
talking
was
now, talking about rapping for change.
no doubt, what was Philadelphia? What no, let me ask this. How did
Mhm.
Detroit embrace? Because um did everybody in Detroit, like the whole D, have they heard of MF 911? There's some people that know MF 911, but when you rock the D as a group, y'all
Uh-huh.
was on stage as a group. How did
Yeah.
Detroit take to the home team of MF9?
Well, far as Detroit, at first they didn't even. We just came out of nowhere.
Okay.
It's not like we had a following Detroit, because we didn't get signed off our following. A lot of rappers get signed off of their following, their
Right.
songs being on the radio, people knowing them in their city. Not a damn person knew who the hell we were, because we got our deal strictly on Ced G's word and on talent. So when Ced G took the demo that he recorded with us in New York to Next Plateau Records, that's how we got a deal. Versus people knowing us at the hip hop club, and people knowing us on we didn't. So when we came to Detroit and we dropped the album, we getting a little radio spin, and we doing these interviews, we telling people, we MF 911, we from here, Detroit. We went to New York to get our record deal. So, us coming to age and getting a little notoriety was more of uh how do they say how you put together a group versus a group from scratch. Even though we weren't put together, it,
Right.
it almost came across like that because no one knew of us. So uh
But once y'all rock that damn mic, hands
it
up
was
because they
different.
was
It
feeling.
was it was different. The people was definitely feeling us. We rocked the Family Fun Day, what in 1995 with the guy Montel Jordan. This is
Mm.
how we do. And we rocked
Mhm.
what was that the place downtown where they have all the jazz festival concerts. It's down on for Jefferson somewhere. And it's right off the water, off the riverfront.
Oh,
Shane Park.
Shane Park.
Shane Park. We
Yeah,
did
yeah.
We did Shane Park
Nice.
and a couple little small joints. So it wasn't nothing. We did Rick Mahorn's club in Philadelphia.
Oh
So
yeah,
with the
yeah. How
Ultra
was Philly? Philly show love to the real hip hop.
Philly show love to the real hip hop. So
Okay,
we did
dope.
very few things, man. As far as a group MF 911, we started doing things more in the 2000s and the 2010s when we were coming out with these up to date albums and different things. And then that's when, remember, we hooked up with you again at that this show, Return to the Real Boom Bap show.
That was at the shelter, right? That
That
was
was
at the
that that
shelter.
was at the
Yeah,
that was at the shelter. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man, we
Yeah.
as a group, MF 911 is, we stood the test of time. And like I said, I still wave the flag. I still try to make sure that my guys and I are still relevant out here to people who still want to listen and still indulge in nostalgic uh, hip hop, from yesteryears with a new up tempo vibe. I mean, with a new vibe. I'm still doing the same kind of old boom bap, but it's just a different vibe now. It's different energy, and you just trying to stay with the times. Boom bap is boom bap is straight up boom bap. So you could get a boom bap beat from 1993 right now, and if you rap on that with a dope cadence and with some dope lyrics, you wouldn't know the difference, from 1993 to 2023. You just wouldn't know the difference in that boom bap. So
Yo,
I
you
just
over here giving me the cheeseburger smile, kid. I
yeah,
love it,
yeah, yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt.
So it is what it is, man. So no, I try to stay relevant. I just think that MF 911, we that is what we did. And heck man, when you dedicate it to something, we what is it? You live once on this planet Earth, man. We're not blessed to be here for a couple hundred years, 150 years. So,
Right.
the time that we have and the time that we have, you do something, you put it down, you try to do it holistically and try to do it with goodwill, good intent, without hurting anybody, and still try to keep that energy. So that's the greatness of hip hop, and what it's done for me is just it keeps me with a youthful energy and vibrant and trying to stay relevant and doing this musical thing, man. Yeah, I love it,
Yeah,
man.
no, and love. You said something earlier that makes a lot of difference. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all like the channel, like button, hit that like button. I'm the
Peace,
Lodd
yo.
Manafess with Antlive MF911.
Word up.
Salute for y'all coming through. Share the channel, get more people to come in. I got a lot more. I'm gonna try not to keep Ant Live on here for another 2, 3 hours because I love hip
we
hop, but
might
this
we
over
gonna we
here,
gonna do we gonna do an A
we
and
got
a
the
B.
same energy. What you said?
I said we'll do a part one and a part two.
No doubt. This is what I want to ask you. And
Yeah.
you said something that's so important. You guys were signed on talent. Today it's not like that.
Mm-mm.
Like
Not at
you
all.
you said you guys got signed on talent, and that's what it's about. When I was downtown Detroit banging on a joint, this female came to me like, "Yo, I like what you're doing. Come over here." It wasn't like some old gimmicky. I really lived it.
That's
And
right.
MF 911, you lived it. So what about that? Like that's missing in 2023, 2024. If we could get back to people that's talented, they're not doing that. But how can we bring that back and live for people to look more for the talent and not the
Mm.
bullshit?
Well, man, the unfortunate thing
Or
is
is
the
it
social.
over? Or is it done?
Yeah, I just think I think the unfortunate thing is music has become, far as the creativity of music has become so advanced with technology that it's made it viable for anybody who has that artistic energy to be successful in. What does it take nowadays? It takes money to you get you a good ad going, a good campaign, and you can go viral, and that's all you need, one viral to get you there, and you'll be able to do some things. So William, can you give me a water? So one viral will get you there. I just think far as, okay, how do we get that 90s feel of hip hop and stuff? Well, bro, you still got record labels like the Stone Throws and some various imprints that have found a niche. The niche is that is how are you going to promote this music? What platforms you're going to promote it? If you're going to put money into social media and things of that, thank you, son. In social media, well, it's going to be an easy thing. Anybody can do it. Like I said, one viral clip. That's all it takes is one viral. If I did something viral as it relates to my music, I'm headed to the moon right now. I'm headed for the stars, even as an old man. So it's like with music nowadays, it's like there's no people complain in this age, but there's no age limit to this shit. I've seen I've seen some dope hip hop go viral from people doing corny shit, and
Every
they
day.
found it every day, and they find that niche.
Every day.
I just seen an old lady rapping, right? She's rapping a trap song on Instagram. And that shit was sounding good. And I'm saying this lady was about 70 years old. She was dancing and everything, right? And when I listened to it just openly without being judgmental, I was like, that shit's kind of dope what she's doing, right? So from that, she's able to get some streams. Streams get you sales. Hell, I just cashed out some money from my DistroKids account, right? And I'm not streaming millions. I'm streaming thousands. I'm not even streaming in the hundreds of thousands, but I'm streaming and I'm cashed out a little $300 check. It wasn't much, right? But it it shows like my value of some sense. It's not. It doesn't. What do I mean by show my value? What I'm getting paid, is that what I'm worth? No, it's not. But it just shows what some streams and some things can do. What if I was doing double these streams or triple these streams or 10 times these streams, then my checks would be. But there's ways that you can do that. There's ways. It's money. It's just like the old days with the record company. They put you in a budget, promotional money. It's no different now, but just there's nothing tangible. The tangibility in your product is your show.
Right.
So I guess that makes it a 360 deal or whatever they call it. But that's the tangibility. Back in our day, the tangibility was having your cassette, having MF911's album
Or the CD.
or
Yeah.
CD. That's something you tangible, collect, you can touch, put it in, play it. Now it's just I push the button, it's there. There's nothing tangible. What's the tangible part of that? Oh, the tangible part is watching your video. Okay. What else? The tangible part is maybe going to a show. You know what I'm saying? So yes, music is evolved. It is evolved for the good because I don't knock it. I'm glad that it has changed because now I don't need no middleman to get my message out. I don't need nothing but my, if I put a $2,000 into a project from a promotional standpoint, I'm gonna see something out of that. I'm
Do you believe that today digitally is more better than 1990 for us? That back in the 90s it was so hard, and Gangstar, rest in peace to Guru, they said it when they dropped that album, hard to earn. In the 90s, and you know it yourself from what you just told me, from what you went through with Ced G. So, do you believe that today it's more easy for us with the music than in the '90s? You had to get a major deal. It wasn't
I
so
think
much
it. I love
independent.
it today. I love it more today than I love the '90s. I love it more today than I love the '90s. Just far as being able to present my, even though I had a record deal and my budget started out at 60,000, it ballooned to about 90,000, but it started out at 60. Uh, if I had a chance to look back and do it over, man, I want to do it just like today. And
Mm,
I've got albums that I have that are completed that I haven't put out. I've got videos, and all I'm doing is just waiting for the proper time with the proper budgeting when I have the proper money that I want to invest in these projects. So right now, no, man, I control my own destiny, man. Don't nobody control my shit. I don't need Ced G or Chuck D or all of these greats that I'm thankful for them. Do you understand? Don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for Chuck. I'm thankful for the G, Ced G. But now I can do it myself. I work a job. You know what I'm saying? So with my job, I can invest my money. I can take a check and say, yo, I'm gonna just go for broke with this check right here, invest it into this music and get the best product out of this motherfucker. You know, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to get out of it. So nah, man, no, now is the time. Back then it was too hard. It was who you know. Shit, if I didn't know said G, there's a chance I don't get a deal. There were no record labels in Detroit. I went to World One Records and dropped my music off where Chaos and Maestro and DJ Los and Easy B and Dice, all of them was shit. They didn't like my shit. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go to New York to get my shit off. You know,
mm.
Motown wasn't in Detroit no more. I had to go to New York to get my shit off. That's the only place I knew. You know what I'm saying? So, um, nah, man. Right now, I can control
Wow.
my own shit right now on my laptop, my G, and everybody's gonna get it. And and I still got a following. What I do as far as my new solo music, I just kind of piggyback off the MF 911. I got more fans overseas than I got ever had in America because MF 911 was overseas. I go overseas, my shit. People still got my fucking records.
Yo,
Like
and
he got
love, you know what bugged me out? Every now and then I get somebody asking me for I'm laughing because people ask me like, yo man, can I get the Lodd Manafess Rapping for Change vinyl or
word.
CD? And I'd be like, I don't know what to say to them.
Yeah.
And then when I go to
You need to
YouTube,
reprint it. You reprint them shits.
what was see, you know what? I'm gonna have to interview myself because I don't Lodd Manifest didn't have the MF now 1-1 deal type of way. My shit is a whole nother. You would have to sit back and watch the Lodd Manifest interview Lodd Manifest. But
Word, man. Well, you got that energy, man, and you've always had that push and that energy to make this shit happen. And now's the time, man. Like I
yeah.
said, we at that age where we can control a lot of things in our lives and musically and wants and needs and now's the chance, man. Now's the time. Like I haven't made. I'm known as a producer. Even though I was a rapper,
Oh,
I've
hold
made.
up, hold up. Don't mean to interrupt you. That's what I want to ask you. Talk about the artists that you produced. You did beats for.
Chuck D. I work with Proof, Ghostface Killer,
Talk about
uh,
that one. Talk about that record. I like that beat. I like. What's the name of that joint?
Yolanda's house. Yeah,
Doom
so
doom da, doom doom.
I
What
got
what
that beat.
MPC was that? If you don't mind me asking.
That was the ASR 10.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the ASR 10. I did that beat on,
yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
did that. I gave those beats to him a whole year before he recorded them. It was he was on tour. I think they was doing a man. Let me tell you, this was years before. I gave it was a couple times I seen him, but I gave him that beat, and I remember as I was leaving Detroit, I was moving from Detroit to Houston in 2007. I had him and Nas had did a concert, and it was
Mm.
Nas, Talib Kweli, and all of these rappers that did a concert at the amphitheater, the Freedom Hill Amphitheater in Pontiac, and I met him out there and told me he had recorded to the song. I ended up moving to Houston, and he contacted me again through MySpace, and
Oh shit! Wait,
yeah,
wait, rewind that. Through who?
MySpace. That's what we it was MySpace back then, and I remember his
Wow,
manager.
that's dope as hell. That's dope.
Yeah, and I had new ghosts. Uh
Yeah,
had
talk
new
about your
ghosts.
relationship. How did
Yeah,
that come about? How did you and Ghost meet?
well, I had met him originally in 2001 in Detroit. Him, Mathematics, and Raekwon were doing a Supreme Clientele tour in
Mm.
Capadonna. So I had always been a Wu fan, and uh, we had caught up with them at what was that, Saint Regis or something hotel, and yeah, I remember that, and then end up getting him a tape. I mean, no, at that time we had just rolled up on them. They were staying at the hotel, and they had the van out there, and we ran up on them at the hotel. They invited us up, a la Mathematics,
Oh,
up, and we went to build with them in the room. And next thing you know, I was making a beat with a la Mathematics,
oh
and
shit.
I did a couple beats for him,
Oh
and
shit.
he
What?
saved, yeah, he saved the beats. Him, me, RZA was there, and we was working. And then, I would see them from time to time when he come to the city. And just the one time, I just got the beat CD off of him. And then a year later, when I seen him at the concert, he was like, "Yeah, I did something to your beats." I really wasn't understanding that he was telling me that he did something to
Wait,
my
wait.
beats because
Who said what? Who said this?
Ghost. So I met with Ghost after the show, after he did the show at the Freedom Hill Amphitheater in 2007. And I remember him telling me after the show he did something to my beat,
What was that?
but I didn't understand what he was saying because I was so high and excited to see him. We didn't get to see each other long because he was meeting and greeting people. But he was like, "Yo, Ant Live, what up? I did something to one of your beats." And I was like, "Okay." I recorded him telling me this shit, because so I
Oh,
used
he
it on my.
spit. Oh, he did. Oh, he spit to your joint. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he's like, "Yo, I did something to one of your beats." So,
okay,
I didn't know what he was saying. So
okay.
when he tells me this in August, it goes in one ear and out the other. I'm just happy to see him and get these pictures with him and everything. So they end up hitting me up on MySpace, maybe in November. It was like, "Yo, we did Yolanda's house," and they sent the shit in to me, and it was history from there. And from
Wow.
there, from there, kind of put me out into the stratosphere again. Kind of gave me some more shine because that's when YouTube was even becoming bigger. I think maybe YouTube came out in 2004 or five. People wasn't on it like that. I really didn't know too much about YouTube 2007, but everything was on there. So 2006 is when it was. So boom, when it starts popping, Ghost is out. We doing it. My opportunity strikes. People know, okay, yo, this is the guy from MF 911. Connected me to Ghost. Man, everything started
Wait a
turning.
minute. Pardon me. Did do Ghost know? Did Ghost know who MF9 was? MF91. Did he know?
I don't know. I never talked to him about it.
Okay.
I just kind of, you know, he recorded Yolanda's house in his studio. He had the beat or whatever, so it was just not like we was building,
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
day or connecting like that. It wasn't nothing like that. But I did get an opportunity, and that opportunity was to put my name back out there. My name was MF, and then I was able to build my new solo career on a professional level. Now I had a foundation and something newer to stand on for my solo career. So hence, after 2007, doing Yolanda's house, I was able to take off to the next level as a independent solo artist because I had something recent that people could be like, oh, he did that. Oh, okay, boom, and that's the guy from the '90s too. Oh, okay, cool. So shit worked. It worked out for me.
Yeah. Congratulations, it did.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So I've had my ups and I have my downs, and in this hip hop game, working with Chuck and Public Enemy and him establishing us and initially giving us the opportunity, and then Ced G coming and swooping us up in the clutches when we lose.
So pardon me.
Uh,
Let me ask you that.
Go.
So who came first, Ced G or Chuck D?
Oh, Chuck D came first.
Oh, I never knew that. I mean, damn.
Chuck,
Can you
yeah,
can
yeah.
you tell us
Well, just we
about Chuck? How did you meet? How did you meet
well,
Chuck D? How did y'all ever come into an existence together?
well, like I told you when he named us, he named our group. So
Yeah, he
he
named the
named he,
group.
na- he na- named our group probably in '90 maybe.
But how
So
did y'all meet? How did y'all
I met,
meet face to face?
we met Chuck in 1987, and when he came to Detroit Joe Louis Arena, that
Wow.
summer, it was 80 summer. I think it was summer '87 or summer '88. He came to Joe Louis. He was on the big tour with Ice Cube, Kid and Play, all EPMD, all of these top groups, Ice T, and we snuck in. I didn't have no money or nothing to get in no concerts and nothing, so we snuck in the concert through the back door of Joe Louis Arena, and we watched the
Oh,
concert. I was so excited, and I just remember back then, they didn't have social media or
yeah. Hell
internet or
no.
anything, so what the rappers would do is they would do interviews uh, after the concert.
Pardon me, sir. We had fan mail. Remember back then it was fan mail, but whoever read that shit. But go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that so we waited after the concert after Public Enemy performed, and they did the big press conference. We snuck in the press conference, and yeah, when I was able to meet Griff, and then Griff introduced us to Chuck,
Mm.
and then Chuck kind of just took in the liking to me, and he asked me if I had a ride. I was like, yeah, I got my own car. He was like, well, he said if you want to hang out tomorrow, he said why the tour is going to the next city, I'm going to hang out at my grandparents' house on East 7 Mile
Wait,
in
whose
Detroit.
grandparents?
Chuck, Chuck's grandparents
In the
was
D?
here in Detroit. Yeah, his
Oh
grandparents live here.
shit! Word!
Yeah,
Wow.
so
He
East
had
7 Mile.
family in
So
Detroit.
yeah, so that's why he told me. He told me he was like, "Yo," after the concert, he was like, "I'm gonna hang out in Detroit. Did you want to hang out?" So Chuck is 10 years older than me, and so he was just giving a kid an opportunity. So I had an old broken down car, and we hang out. And let me just tell you what year it was. That you'll know the year because the movie Die Hard had just came out. That movie had came out on that Friday. So the Public Enemy concert, was on a Thursday. Now, hold on. So he it was just like he just kind of took a chance, like he kind of adopted us. So it's not like I was like the next LL Cool J, or I was just the
Yeah, yeah,
dopest
yeah.
rapper that he had been seeing, and he took an interest in it. He just probably he seen my hunger and how inspired I was by him, and he said, "Yo, I see something in this kid." So he just took a liking to me like that, and just we stayed in touch. Concerts, phone calls, blah 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 blah. He kept me like as a little brother. So at some point, as I grow up and I go to college and I'm playing ball, we lose touch. So once we lose touch with him, we're on our own developing our group more and more and more. And so it was just like from there. Then that's when the G jumped in and saved the day.
Oh, damn, Love. I wish I would have asked you because, damn, I wish I would have asked about Chuck D before Ced G. I thought Ced G came, then
No,
Chuck.
no, but it's
I
all
didn't
good.
know that.
No, I've been with Chuck since I was 17, so he was
Oh,
the initial.
oh,
He was
that's
the
a
initial.
whole nother long.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know, but that's dope. That's great. So did
No,
Chuck D introduce you to Ced G or?
no. I met Said G by calling the record label. I called Said G's record label and
You
asked for
just
Said G's number.
picked up the
Yeah, I
phone.
just called it. I was sitting at home. Me and my boy said we were discouraged because we hadn't got a record deal. I would remember we would always be talking. And Said's thing to me was like, man, I'm giving it one more try, and if this shit don't work in the next 2 3 months, I'm quitting. So I just remember sitting at home and I was looking at the Ultramagnetic album, and I got uh, Next Plateau's number off Ultramagnetic album. I called Next Plateau Records. I told Next Plateau Records I was some big record company from Detroit, and we were waiting when we were looking forward to Said G to produce for our album. We wanted to pay
Son,
him.
you ain't do that.
I did. I told him we wanted Ced G to produce a record for our artist. So they would the label Next Plateau told me, they said with Ced G is no longer at Next Plateau Records. He's Ultramagnetic has moved to Mercury Records. Well, what we can do is give you his phone number.
Wow.
I said, what?
That's a
So
whoa.
Next Plateau gives me Ced G's phone number. I call Ced G's phone number. His mama answers the phone. She puts Ced G on the phone, and when
It's
Ced G
this.
gets on the,
It's this.
I I get to stuttering. I don't know what to tell him.
Oh! I read that in the magazine. What magazine
Yeah,
did I read that in? Ant Live. I
I
read
think that
that article that you
maybe
wrote.
source.
That it was
Uh,
so hilarious.
yeah. So it was like so we get so when I'm talking to him, I'm stuttering. So I don't know what to say to him once I get to that level. I never expected to get him on the phone. So I end up coming clean. I'm like, man, we from Detroit. We the biggest ultramagnetic fans ever. Can we come down and see you and show you our music and give you our music? He was like, nah, you can't come down here. He said, but you can send it to me. And he said, if you send it to me and I like it, then I'll have you come down here. So
Oh,
we sent him our demo, and we end up going down. He ended up calling for us. He called for us. I had just got off a trial and beat a case. Uh, so maybe no. I went down there before the trial because the trial was in November. So maybe I went to New York because we got the deal in '92. So maybe I went to New York in October of '91 or something like that because it was cold in New York. So we went to New York in October '91. We recorded the demo. Said G ended up calling me while I was in my dorm room in January saying, I think I got a potential record deal for y'all with Next Plateau Record. He said, Next Plateau Record wants to sign y'all, but he said Def Jam is interested in y'all.
Def Jam.
Yeah, he said Def Jam is interested, but
Wow.
he said Next Plateau wants to sign you now.
Wow.
So I've always been a person, a bird in the hand is worth more than the bush. So I wasn't going on if Def Jam was interested or if Def Jam wanted us or if. I'm like, okay, I'm like, give me the for sure thing. For sure thing was Next Plateau. So we end up doing the deal with Next Plateau Beach G Productions. So we end up signing to Said G's production company. And then that's how, if you listen to the beginning of the story, how it all comes together, how now you can understand, you know, uh, why we were feeling the way we were feeling when I say, we said G did all of this to get us the deal, but then when we got the deal, he didn't lead us. And by him being our production company, he should have been leading us. It shouldn't have been up to me, a guy who's green, who don't know anything, but all I know is street shit. So I'm trying to use my street rationale and hustle to apply it to this music thing, that the two don't work. They work dissimilar, but there's different ethics to this shit. If you get me. So it is what it is, man. So like I said, our our uh, our road uh to being known and to being established as a group, MF 911, it took a lot of bumpy roads, and it took a lot of ups and downs. And and two, like I said, I used to always the older I got, I used to resent it more, like, because I was just like, man, you know, uh, I just wanted, like, if we had the leadership, we could have really did some special things, I seem to think. But, you know, hindsight is 2020, and it is what it is, and it turned out to what it is because I've been able to propel that as a solo artist, but I've always loved the group. I always loved the group component. I always wanted Ced and Mainy to be with me at all times, and I wanted them guys to reap everything that I was trying to get to do.
No doubt.
And be with me. So hip hop has its ways. I am thankful for the opportunities that I got, and I still do this shit. I still do this shit, and I still do it in the name of MF 911, because uh, without Ced Maney, it just wouldn't be no Antlive. It just wouldn't. And my brother was always a part of the group, Tim the Terrible. You know,
Shout out to
but
Tim the Terrible.
yeah, 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 yeah. So it just, he was here, and then he was in and out, where Mainy Main just kind of stayed in and ended up becoming the 33rd and the third member of the group. So, and he's just him, me and him and Ced have just kept it going. And like I said, Mainy and Ced are brothers. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
both of them are brothers. So no, the struggle continues. My take is if uh, one, if I have one fan, 10 fans, 1,000 fans, 100,000 fans, it's all the same to me. All I need is just one person to just want to be interested in, want to hear my music, and that's enough for me to continue rocking and being the artist that I am today. I'm very happy with what I've accomplished and what I've done. And if it's God's will, then I'll continue to do that. But man, I appreciate you getting me on here for part one. And
Wait. Before we end and live, tell me about
okay,
that dope classic cover, because I'm gonna end up because I got my hip hop shirts. I'm gonna get that Idol the
oh,
Blood
okay,
Sport. I got this guy who make t-shirts, like, but he
okay,
made the shirts where it's all over your joint. And I
okay.
always like that cover, man. I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna rock that on the shirt. But
Uh,
tell me
I'd be
about that
honored.
cover.
Well, we shot that cover, like, I think we shot that cover maybe in July of '93, before we put out the album, because I remember us shooting the video in August, right? And we shot the video and the pictures around the same time, and it was just a burnt out house somewhere in the city of Detroit where we were. I think we was on the east side, and You know, the thing about MF 911, we didn't have any guidance, right? So it's not like we had a manager who was telling us, yo, you need to wear these clothes or something, do this. The only thing we had as examples of is what we were seeing on TV. So I remember calling the record company, telling them, yo, we ain't got no money for clothes. We ain't got no money for the pictures and nothing. And I remember them sending us like like $1,000. You know, they sent us like $1,000, wired it to us, and we went shopping. So I just remember we really didn't know about Timberlands. We didn't know that the boots that the rappers were wearing in New York were Timberlands. I remember going buy some boots, but they didn't look like Timberlands, but they was the big, they was the boots that, them boots that we would wear back in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
days
no
that
doubt.
weren't the Tims and nothing. But again, this goes to show we didn't have no guys because niggas I didn't know niggas in New York was wearing Timberland boots. You see the boots on their feet,
Right.
but you don't know that's the style
Yeah, no
or
doubt.
anything. So I remember once we got the money, we went and bought us some a few little outfits, but we went to the Army surplus store for that album cover picture. And I got grenades and hatchets, and they even gave like the outfits we had. Uh, I remember us buying all of that shit from the Army surplus store, and then after we took the album covers, we took all that shit back or whatever. But I remember that's why you see the grenades and all of that. We had went to the Army surplus store to get the outfits and everything so that we could all be uniform, not in a militant way, but in some sort of way that was maybe our style, a mix between the Ultra and a mix between the PE, and that's what made the MF. We were sons of uh, Just Ice, KRS-One, uh, uh, Big
Correct.
Daddy. We were the sons of these guys. And what happened, and I'll tell you this little tidbit. The reason I got the name Boom-Bap-Kings, right? And the reason I got this name and I continue to utilize this name for my history is that when I was in New York, Ced G told me one of the most intelligent things he told me, but I really wouldn't listen. He
Yes,
was like,
sir.
when we went in the studio, right, and I told you, remember when he told us, do we have some beats, right?
Right.
And we was like, but G, I remember us specifically telling him, me specifically saying, but Ced G, we came here to get the beats from you. You're Ced G. Da 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 da. So he starts playing us beats, right? And the beats were slower, right? And the beats were, so I was like, yo, G, I need some beats to go. You remember how the drums would be all over the
Yeah,
place
yeah,
and it
yeah.
should be all kinds of roll, but the more the drums, the more the beats, the doper the beat and the faster the beat, you know, right? So when he's playing us these beats that he's playing us beats at a different tempo. And he's like, Ant. I was like, yo, G, we want shit like the Ultra. We want that shit. And this is what he says to
What he
me.
said?
He was like, Ant, beats don't go like that. The drums, he's like, Ant, the drums don't go like that no more. He said, the drums
What?
go like this. This is what he told me. He said, the drums go like this. Boom, 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 back. Boom, 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 back. Boom, 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 back. And I remember him mimicking that to me and say, yeah, and the drums go boom, 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 back. Boom, 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 back. And I was like, nah, man, I want that ultra shit. End up hindsight 2020, he under I should have been listening to him back then because the beats changed. Boom, back, boom, back,
Well, you
boom.
know, KRS-One came up, boom, bap, original raps.
Yeah, but he just took the term and made it an album title. But that term was before he even came out with that album.
Oh,
Because
said G coined boom bap before
he
KRS-One.
called it boom
Okay,
bap.
boom
That's how
bap.
I
Wow.
that,
Okay.
that before the album Return of the Boom Bap came out,
Okay.
said G told me beats. He
Boom
told me in
bap.
'92 the beats are going. He said, "Ant, the beats ain't all over the place like the funky drummer." He the beats. He's like, Ant, beats don't go like that no more. He said they going like boom boom back, boom boom back. So I had always
Wow.
locked in there the boom bap.
Wow.
You understand? So of course we know that KRS One propelled the name, and other rappers have used that name to show the genre of hip hop that we indulge in, that we love. But I first heard it in '92 when I was in Ced G's front room, where he had his Ultra Lab studio connected to, and he was telling me the beat sound changed from funky drummer to boom boom bap, and that, and hence how I was able to understand, develop, restructure, and move forward in creating what I was, the boom bap king. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
Wow.
that's my story, man. That's my story. This is appreciate the platform and the opportunity to come in here and rock. And I'm definitely gonna looking forward to doing part two with you. But you know, the life in of MF 911 in our Detroit history is just was never one of wanting to um, we wanted to be so different from what Detroit was. You know, a lot of these rappers, they out of Detroit. Like Detroit is just a breeding ground for some of the dopest MCs, right? You know, there's so many dope and great guys that we seen after we recorded the MF 911 album. I wish we would have known these guys before we would have recorded the
I,
MF
I wish
911.
I wish Lodd Manafess jumped on the MF 911 album, or and live jumped on the Rapping for Change joint back then. But you see how the '90s was where we from, and like back then, everybody was to themselves. Like back then, nobody was jumping on albums. You had groups
Nah,
doing them,
nah.
groups doing them.
Especially in Detroit, you gotta understand because right, um we didn't have a place where artists could congregate and meet early when when I had my deal, or Boss had her deal, or
Shout out to
all of these
Boss.
guys. We didn't have a place where we could. That came after my deal. You understand? I had been there, done that. So it was, when the hip hop shop in these places where Detroit rappers could congregate and meet, I thought I was beyond that. I had already had a record deal and I had already had a budget. So in my mind, in my group's mind, we were beyond going to a hip hop shop or meeting with other rappers when we should have been the first ones there. We should have been the first ones at the hip hop shop. I was on the radio every day, so I should have been everywhere. But when you marry, like I was married, I had a baby. I had so many other things. I was working as a teacher.
Wow.
Uh, I had to I had to cut my time in half. But I always regret not being able to congregate and work with the other rappers in Detroit, besides them recording in my studio for money. You understand? Like if I'm in the hip hop, I'm meeting the Eminems, and I'm building with the Proofs, and I'm getting to know all of these underground legends in Detroit. But I just thought that at that time that I was too good for that. It's essentially, like I was beyond that, and that wasn't the case. If I'd have been in that, I would have still had my foot on the ground in Detroit, and these artists and I would have been able to communicate. But hip music was a business for me. I'm not recording and doing no beats for free for nobody. I mean, live. You're not coming in my studio recording for free. I had groups and projects that I would do that with, but I needed to make that bread. I was, at that time, 95, I'm 25, you know, 96, I'm 26. So, why these other rappers a few years younger than me, and they trying to come up and make their mark. I had already, been there, done that, and now I'm trying to do it again and finding a different way of doing it. But I just missed that mark, man, and I think that's one of my greatest misses is that I just wasn't in that spectrum, in that lane with them other Detroit rappers who were coming up, uh, and who now we see as the greats, is like the Royce 5 9s and the Eminems and the Guilty Simpsons and
Yeah.
the
Apollo
guys of the
Brown and all them.
Apollo Browns and the guys of that nature. Now I was a different type of guy. I was a few years before them, so my thought process and way of going about it was a little bit different. More, I think my shit was more mature. When I should have been more in that youthful tip and in them spots. But like I said, I've been able. The way I've done it is I've been able to make a way for myself the way I did it. I did it my way, kind of like the guy who sings that song. What's his name? Singer. I did it my way.
Can't think who
The
that is.
you know who it is. Not Bing Crosby, but the guy who ran around with the mob singing the jazz songs. But it's just I kind of did it everything my way, and I was just happy to do it my way. And even to this day, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, I kind of did shit my way. And good, bad, or however, I'm good with it. I rest well every night,
Okay.
and I just keep pushing to be the best that I can. And it's just me versus me. I look for other people for inspiration, but I only need me to motivate me, and that motivation, of course, comes from God, because I sure didn't make myself, and I'm just here as a vessel for my parents. But I'm God's child, so it's just I just kind of just do my thing, and I'm thankful for it, brother. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
thankful for Detroit. It's a lot of Detroit artists, man, that inspire me, and guys I worked with, and to be from Detroit and to start at the beginning of Detroit hip hop and to still be rocking to this point, seeing all of the greats from the Prince Vince to the Smileys uh, uh, to the bosses and to the other legends that have come out of the city, is just to be a part of these guys is just beyond belief. Yeah.
Well, look, before we say peace, you was just in New York
hmm
last week, and finally, 30 something years, me and you finally did a little joint. So can you briefly speak a little bit on a joint that me and you about to
All right,
come up and do?
all right, so I was gonna get that.
Just briefly,
I
just
was gonna.
briefly.
I'm gonna give it to him on. I'm gonna give him a little bit on this part one, because I was gonna really talk about it in the part two, where I get into speaking about the solo career. I wanted this part to be more about my group and not just speaking for myself, but speaking
Right.
from my understanding, but definitely letting the other people know that Ant Live didn't do this shit by himself. It was other people who kind of put me there. But the song that you and I did, like, you and I met back in 92, 93 in Detroit. And, I had always admired you as an MC, because you was cut from that boom bap cloth. And the way you kind of put things down, the way you put your shit down was always dope to me. So, with me coming to Detroit, I mean, to New York for Fashion Week, and me and you always building, I just thought it was, now is the time. So yeah, we got this song you and I did called Crook. We shot the video in like three of the boroughs of New York, and this shit is real, man. So people need to look for that. It's coming soon. Maybe by the time we do the next part two to this interview, we maybe be dropping that single from that little EP I'm dropping. So it's Real Talk Radio right here on the Lodd Manafess show.
And you
And
know what, in love, I gotta
mhm.
thank you because you could have out of hundreds or whatever thousand people NY whatever, you could have called anybody, but you called
Nah. I could have called anybody, but I
LODD.
wanted you. I wanted you. I called the person who I wanted to call, and that person I
No,
wanted to
no, I'm just
call.
saying you could have
Huh.
like
No, I
called
know
it
what you
about
said.
you decided to
No,
call.
the
Well,
best. I needed to be.
appreciate that.
I needed the best. I didn't need just anybody. I needed the best to be on these joints with me. So
Salute you for
shit.
that.
So that's why I called you. No, I couldn't have just called anybody because not everybody's the best at what they do. But I know you
Well,
I know you the best at what you do. So that's why Radar Van Lodd Manafess had to be called. And I'm just thankful that you picked up the call for me. You know what I'm saying? You a busy
no
guy,
doubt.
you rocking and you doing your thing, so you took time out to work with me. So I'm just honored. So that's why I'm excited, looking ready to drop this shit soon that you and I did and
Well,
for this interview. Man, listen, man, anytime that I get to tell my story and to tell my truth, it's always an honor. And listen, I don't give a damn what nobody say. At this point in time, I've been through so many things that I'm just giving you the real from my perspective. And shout out to all the people who have something to do with what I'm trying to do in this lifetime. So we just gonna keep it pushing and I hope I answered all the questions for you.
no
And I
doubt.
yeah,
Now,
I,
before you get out of here, Ant Live, you can either leave the Lodd Manifest show with 3 things or 5 things. The
okay.
3 of the 5 is, what is your advice to people that's trying to come up, to the youngins that's trying to come up, and even to somebody that's near our age who want to do it but ain't quite had the foot there. So, what is 3 or 5 things that's important you want to let the people know?
Well, the first
And
thing is you
advice.
advice. You got to be self motivated. Okay, that's the first thing. Your biggest fan is supposed to be you. You got to be self motivated. And then another thing, number two, you should be inspired. Let people and other things let this world inspire you. Rather it's the clouds, maybe it's the stars, maybe it's the moon, maybe it's the man on the corner, maybe it's the bum under the underpass, maybe it's the somebody that you've seen that really needs some help, that you feel that you could do good and motivate them, and just kind of let whatever inspiration you can find in life, motivate you. And then two, always believe that ain't nobody bad like you. All of us can do this thing, you know what I'm saying? Whatever we trying to do, but ain't nobody bad like you. It's like, everybody raps. He raps this way, she raps that way, whatever. But don't nobody rap like Antlive. So ain't nobody bad like me. You know what I'm saying? So, these are the things that kind of keep me inspired and keep me motivated and keep me to continually rocking. And then another thing is, you only live one life. Why would you want to hold it up for on because I can and I don't know? Nah, man, I don't live no life like that. If it ain't working, it just ain't working. But I'm not going to not try it, because if you don't try, you don't know what's gonna come out. And tomorrow we ain't promised to wake up. So, you have to keep moving forward with that good energy and let that propel you to the next thing. And it's a wrap.
Hey, DJ Los right there. He says 100. You see him?
Oh man, I appreciate Los, man. One of the, like I told you, his record label, that World One record label, his father's label, man, was like one of the only hip hop labels in Detroit. And I just remember uh being so inspired watching DJ Los and the groups that were on his father's label and his label, and come out, and I couldn't get on with them, but the idea that they put down for Detroit hip hop and the movement uh, was just the inspiration enough for me to go get a deal with somebody else. They were like the Cash Money of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So every artist on their label was doing videos and shit. So that's
Yeah.
the only place that we knew that we could go to. And if we couldn't make that dream team, then we was gonna have to step out of the city to do something. So no, DJ Los is an incredible dude, good brother.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
man.
and
Detroit
Lodd,
has been
I
good.
thank you. I thank you for coming to my podcast, the Lodd Manafess, giving me your story because I never knew none of this, man. It's like,
Okay.
man, I wanna talk to you about the college basketball, like your life, like, man, like, woo.
Yeah,
You
I forgot
definitely
we didn't get to talk about that, but let's on that part two, I would love to speak with you about my solo career whenever you're ready or whenever you think it's time, or even if it's relevant enough to you, you can always hit me up and we
when
can put it
when the
down.
when the single drop now, I'm still gonna lay my vocals. I got you on that. Once the single pop off, let's come back to the show together and we'll promote, talk about the song and whatever else.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for being a fan of my music and thinking of me enough to have me on your platform, brother.
Oh, you already know that.
Well, I wanted to say peace to everybody out there. Check out Antlive, MF911, Detroit Hip Hop, 50 years we here. Lodd Manafess, peace and love to you, New York City, the inspiration behind what I do, and we just gonna keep it pushing to the next year, my brother.
Hey, I'm gonna send you a message. I need to get a tag and some drops from you. So I'm gonna hit you
Done,
so I can get the tag and drop from you.
done deal. Peace.
And live, no doubt. Yeah, that was a dope interview right there. Let me go through the comments. Let me go through the comments. Ja Logic, salute. Salute to Ja. And then Beavis Lee, bond takes from me in Times Square. Oh, yeah, no doubt. That was years ago. That was years ago. People are still in Times Square right now. They still selling shit out there. I can't really do it no more. Word. Loose wires, no doubt. Shout out to Edward Scissorhands. I just seen him on Facebook, on Facebook. Essentially, the people gotta come together. That's impossible too. The people gotta come together. That's impossible too. It's it's impossible. Well, see what happened. And what else you said? We gotta take over. That's the only way. But that's damn near impossible. Okay, I feel you now on that. I feel you on that. Today you get signed for the bars you already created. Mm, Due to the legend, tuning radar. No doubt. Big up. Check the ruckus. No doubt, Beavers. Yo, Markham, peace, huh? Salute the Los. Well, look, I'm going to put this up one more again. I'm going to put this up right here. If y'all want to donate to the Cash App, it's right there. It's right there. If you want to send whatever to the Cash App, big up. But I'm going to start coming on YouTube. I'm going to start coming on YouTube a lot more. I just got to get up my sound because, I'm going to come up, start banging the beats out. I'm going to come up, start banging beats, going live on YouTube. I'm gonna start going live, not just on Bigo Live. I'm streaming right here on my joint on the app. I'm gonna start coming on YouTube a lot more. Try to build up the momentum. But yeah, good looking for checking out the interview with my man from MF911 and live. Shout out to Son. Yeah, y'all gotta check his joint out. Idol the Blood Sport, MF911. Check his joint out. And also, while y'all still here, you already know my name. I got some new records out right now on Bandcamp. So if you type in Radar Van on Bandcamp, you can hit my new records as well. But yeah, salute. Thanks for coming through. Hold up. All right. One love. Peace.